All right, good evening. This is the August 8th, 2023 meeting of the Wayland Zoning Board of Appeals. So I just want to read the preamble here for our meeting notes. One may watch or participate remotely with the meeting link that can be found at, I'm not going to read the website email address here, but that was attached to the agenda. Pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, this meeting will be conducted in person and via remote means in accordance with applicable law. This meeting may be recorded, which will be made available to the public on Waycam as soon after the meeting as is practicable. When required by law or allowed by the chair, persons wishing to provide public comment or otherwise participate in the meeting may do so by in-person attendance or by accessing the meeting remotely as noted above. We request public comment be limited to 2 minutes per person. Everyone in attendance should be aware that face masks are now optional for town buildings in accordance with the new face covering guidance dated February 24th, 2022. So I guess with that, before we get started, obviously, as you can tell, I am not the chair. I'm acting as the chair this evening, but our chair is not able to attend tonight. And then also, before we go a little further, I do want to welcome our new member of the board, Hunter Curry. Welcome. Thank you. Hopefully you'll be excited about the process. As I said, this will be an interesting meeting to make your first meeting, but we're glad you're here.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
So I guess with that, since it's after 7 o'clock, do we have any public comment? This is public comment not related specifically to the cases that we're here tonight. This is generalized public comment. Is there anyone online?
I see none online.
Okay. So then moving on to the next item, review and accept minutes from June 13th, 2023. Do we know if these were prepared?
The 13th one's for, yes.
Okay, I have not had a chance to review these, but I don't know if anybody else on the board has reviewed these. Obviously you excluded, but have you had a chance to
Do you
review
know what
these?
day they went around? I mean, that is test of my knowledge. I don't know. I don't know if they were circulated.
Yeah, I don't
I
see
don't
them.
think they went around. Yes, I do.
Yeah, I don't know that I see an email on these either. But
So hold it for the next meeting.
yeah, okay. And then I am not aware of any topics not reasonably anticipated by the chair 48 hours in advance of the meeting. So
First case.
So yes, we can move on to the first case, the 705 application. So
So that was.
Yes, yeah.
The architect is still not here.
okay, so if we wait 3 minutes, we could actually move on to the 710 case and flip the order of the first two cases. But unfortunately, we can't do that until we hit 710. So.
Instead of sitting in awkward silence, is there any other business that needs to be attended to? Just out of curiosity.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, just double checking.
This is
Are you talking to Jim?
okay, well, yeah, hang on a second. Yeah, Jim is, he can't be seen.
Yes, we're not there now.
They're gonna elevate you to the panel now, so this is great. All right, thanks, Jim. All right, bye.
Well, that worked out.
Yes,
Hi,
Hey, Jim.
I thought I revised the minutes that you were talking about, but maybe I have a different week. But I know I revised one set of them.
you may have, I didn't see an email.
Okay.
on them, but
No
You
problem.
may have, they just didn't circulate, Jim.
Okay, it's no big deal.
We'll do it in our next meeting.
And I welcome to our newest member.
Thank you. It's nice to see you.
I'm sorry, what's your name?
Hunter Perry.
Hi, Hunter. How are you?
I'm doing great. Looking forward to my first meeting.
Great. Congratulations.
Thanks.
So we just have one more minute, and then as I mentioned, we're going to flip the order of the first two cases. So once we get to 7:10, we'll hear the second application, and by then we should be able to go back to the first one.
It's the 5 Lundy Lane.
Yes.
Okay.
So it is 7:10. So I think we can start that. So this is the 7:10 application of Atlas Contracting, Inc. as the attorney agent on behalf of Richard and Nicole Gilbody to construct a first and second story addition with a garage addition on a pre-existing non-conforming lot which exceeds the gross floor area by more than 20%. The property is located at 5 Lundy Lane, which is in the R20 zoning district. This is case 23-13. So do we have the applicant here?
I am here.
Perfect. All right, you want to come up and
Absolutely.
tell us about your project?
Absolutely. Is there a good place for me to stand? Should I face out this way or?
No, you can face the board.
Face the board? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
that'd be
you can
great.
sit. You don't necessarily have to.
Glad everyone came out to hear our project. So I appreciate, everyone's time. Before I get started, I want to do some brief introductions on who's on the phone as well as myself. So I'm Rick Gilbody. I'm the homeowner along with my wife, Nicole, who's on the phone with my 1-year-old daughter, Hannah. And then I see that we have David, our architect here as well. And we also should have Ohan on, who is the principal on our build firm. Ohan, are you on? Coming over.
They're elevating him to the panel.
Oh, okay. Just want to confirm before I get started that he's on to present.
Here, you just needed to turn his camera on. And
Hi, yes, I'm sorry. I was
Okay.
having some connection trouble. I am here.
Thanks, Ohan.
No problem. My reception's a little bad here, guys. So in case if I get choppy, please let me know.
You sound good. So I'm just gonna get started. So first and foremost, we appreciate the board's time to hear our proposed renovation at 5 Lundy. I want to do a brief introduction first and then pass it off to Ohan, who's gonna speak to our project in detail. The first point I wanted to bring up was that we have full support from our neighbors and the people within our neighborhood for our project itself. As you can see in their packages, we have letters of support from those neighbors. In addition, what I want to make clear with this renovation is that we designed the home with consideration of the aesthetic for the neighborhood. We really did want to focus on keeping elements of our first home and our existing home there while renovating it to accommodate our growing family. Another big component of this, which David helped us on significantly in Ohan, was designing the home around the setbacks that were meeting the side setbacks front and back. As you can see in your packages, our lot is relatively narrow, but the home itself was designed in a way that we could meet all required setbacks as the home went further back in the property. You can see on the right side, it goes a little bit further in as it goes back to meet that property line, that 25-foot setback. Lastly, I wanted to point out that we've been going through, a significant amount of detail with the Board of Health and Conservation. So we have full approval from the Board of Health on this for our septic system as well as to obtain a building permit. And in addition to that, we also have our full order of conditions from Conservation as well. So ideally, the reason we're presenting this today is because we want to stay in our neighborhood, we love where we are. And I'm going to pass it off to Ohan to speak a little bit about our project in detail.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ohan. I'm from Atlas Contracting. So basically what we are dealing with here is two major reasons why we are in front of the board is it's a pre-existing non-conforming lot. Obviously what's required is 40,000 square feet and what there is a pre-existing 21,456. That's to remain the same. That's not being changed. The other major reason or the major reason of why we are in front of the ZBA is because of the increase in percentage of floor area ratio. Anything that is more than 20%, obviously, as you guys know, we are required to go in front of the ZBA, which we are having a 272% increase. The percentage sounds very large, but that is because what is existing there is a 1,500 square feet, no garage, none of that. It's a very, small home. And what we are increasing it to is a 4,200 square foot home, plus or minus, within 100 square feet, a 4,277 to be exact. But that square footage is including the garage. Everything else is within the setbacks. And the width of the house from when you're looking at the front of the lot is not changing by much. It's still keeping to the majority of the width of what's there, plus the about 18 feet of the garage, because there's a good portion of the garage that is built within it. So the addition in what we are proposing here is mainly on the back. The existing home does have a second floor. Sorry, go ahead, David.
Just to jump in, that it's an addition to an existing house.
Yes,
Right. We're keeping
Yes.
the footprint of the existing house and we're expanding it.
that is correct.
Yeah.
What we are and how we are expanding it is a majority of it is being expanded on the rear of the house. The existing home does have a second floor. It'll continue to have a second floor. The height of the building height of the proposed with the addition and everything is at 29 feet. So we're still 6 feet below what is the maximum building height. Our front setback, we're at the 30-foot, including the front porch there. Our side setback is at 25.4. That is also including all decks and porches. So we're within the setbacks on those points as well. On the rear, where our septic leaching field is, we have 91.9 after the proposed. What the bylaw is 30 feet, so we're well behind that. The characteristics of the home, it's all remaining within the neighborhood. We're trying to keep to that. David has carefully designed that to meet the existing neighborhoods, homes, and making sure that it's all conforming. And it doesn't look out of character. Basically, it stays within the Wayland's look, and especially the neighborhoods look at, most importantly. So outside of that, everything else is conforming. And again, that 272-foot percentage of increase is, merely because the existing home is so small and it doesn't have a garage at all. So that's where that percentage really jumps. And that's what, we briefly just want to explain about.
What is the square footage without the garage?
So you go ahead on.
Oh, okay, yeah. So the square footage without the garage is roughly going to be about 38, and Dave, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm just quickly calculating here. It'll be around like 3750, 3850.
3605.
Okay,
Yep. First floor is 1722. Second floor is 1883. The garage is 672.
okay. I was in my head. I was figuring. Thanks for that, Rick.
Okay, I'm sure you have a lot of projects going on, so it's.
Yeah, I just took 400, like 500 square foot off the top of my head for a 2-car. So, what was that again, Rick? 3605?
Yeah, so 3605, 1722 on the first floor, 1883 on the second, and then 672 on the garage.
For the addition, will you need to cut down any trees or anything along those lines?
No, there's nothing. We've attached photographs in the package. There's no trees that have to be coming down. I'm just quickly zooming through the images myself. But just to confirm your answer, the answer is no. The only thing that would be coming down is not trees. It's just landscaping that was put by the owners, you know, shrubs and bushes.
Any other questions from the board? All right, I guess before we proceed, is there anyone here in the public that has anything to say about this particular case? No. Anyone online?
You have to see 1% online.
So if you said there is or there is not?
There is.
There is. All right, so you want to,
Online.
we can see who it is, and then if we can ask them to give us their name and address.
I'll have to found this speak. They're on right now.
Okay.
Is it talking about on the right here? The person on the right?
Yeah.
So that's our consultant. He's been helping us do the work, so.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
All right, so
No, so. Just for Sean.
I think there are some letters in the packet, though.
yes, there are.
Yep, and Sean's our neighbor as well.
Yeah, those are supporting neighbors letters, I believe.
Okay.
He just has his hand raised. I think he wants to speak.
Okay, so yeah, let's have your neighbor, speak, if we can allow him access.
He's already allowed to speak. His microphone's already on.
Okay.
Excellent. Hi, everyone. Sean Ryan here, 14 Rich Valley. I'm putting in public comment to support the project. Been neighbors with McGill Bodies for 4 years and seen the plans and the renders. And as they said already, the facade and the aesthetic of the house fits with the neighborhood. We're excited to have them get this up and going so we can keep them in our circle and watch their daughter grow up in our neighborhood with our kids. Thanks, everyone.
Okay.
Thanks, Sean.
Thank you. All right, so I guess if that's the case, we can close the presentation and the comment on this case. And then I guess I'd ask the board, you know, if they had any thoughts on this application. I took a quick look at this, and I guess, you know, my comment on it is this is a very comprehensive application. A lot of materials that we receive aren't as well prepared as this. And I would also commend your architect. I think they did a fantastic job at sort of weaving together an addition onto this existing house. So I think your presentation on that, I guess, is true to what we see in the package here. So I appreciate that a lot of care was taken with respect to the existing setbacks and sort of, I would say, designing something that I think is appropriate to the scale of the neighborhood and the surrounding structures.
I commend you also for being very prepared tonight.
No, thank you.
We run the gamut here
Well,
in terms of preparation.
No, it's all
Different
good. Look, we just wanted to make sure we're cognizant of everyone's time. We know that, you know, we want to come prepared, we want to come with the relevant information, and I would also commend the people on the phone here who helped me put it together and actually put it together themselves, so.
Okay. Does anyone want to make a motion on this project? We don't have a panel, so this is why we'll be acting chair. All right, so I would say on this case, the panel is going to be myself, Thomas White, Doug Levine, Sean Sarian.
I'm an associate. If there are any full-time members.
Well, yeah, so the challenge though is that our newest member,
Yeah, you can be if needed.
he can be, but he didn't receive any of the packet materials, so he hasn't had a chance to review them until just now, so
So I believe it.
I think you are legit for tonight. And then Jim.
No,
Yeah.
I would need to be
Oh.
instead of Jim.
Sorry,
Adam.
Adam, I forgot you're there.
It's okay.
How do you miss me?
I don't know. It's impossible to imagine. That's 4 members for.
That's 4 members, but we probably should have 5, if I'm not mistaken, since Jim, you are here.
I'm happy to join in.
Oh, great. There you go.
And for the record, I am an associate member for this last meeting of mine.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I think that still works in terms of what we have to do tonight.
Sure, but I'll make the motion if nobody else wants to.
Go for it.
Yes, absolutely.
I move that we grant a special permit to the applicants based on the plans submitted and subject to approval of all town boards. I think we make a finding that it complies with the requirement that it fits within the character of the neighborhood and is not injurious or otherwise detrimental to the neighborhood.
Seconded.
Mr. Hirsch, always a reliable member there. All right, so I guess let's take this by roll call votes. Mr. Hirsch,
Aye.
Mr. Grumbach,
Aye.
Mr. Sarian. Aye. Mr. Levine. Aye. Aye, Mr. White, the chair. Okay. So I'll happily write this decision.
And you have how long again?
Yeah, so we have 14 days to write this decision, and I have to finish it before then because I'm leaving the country in less than 14 days. So I'll get it done. And then that gets emailed to you, and then there is a 20-day appeal period, and then after that, the decision can be recorded.
Sounds good. And then that's from the time that the letter is sent, it starts 20 days.
That is once the decision has been submitted to the town clerk.
Got it.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right. Well,
All right,
thank you very
thank
much. I appreciate it.
Appreciate everyone's
Again.
time. And
Thank you, everyone.
David,
Here.
thank you for joining. Jake, really appreciate it.
Thank you to the
Thank you
board.
so much.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
everyone have a
everyone.
great weekend.
Okay.
Okay, got it.
So we are set. Okay. All right. So we're going to move on to the 7:05 hearing. This is the application of Henry McLean, the applicant, on behalf of Elizabeth Ramirez and Val Hollmeyer to be granted a 2-bedroom in-law apartment under section 9.1.1.4 and construct a new 2-story barn. The property is located at 23B Bayfield Road, which is in the R20 zoning district. This is case number 23-12. So.
Thank you, and thank you for holding up or putting us back in order here. I'm sorry I was a little late. So I'm here for Elizabeth and her husband Ralph, who couldn't be here. The description you have there is a little different. There's actually in a site plan here that I shared with you all, shows the existing house on the site and the existing barn. There's also another plan. Well, let me go to the first page. This shows that same house, but that's being proposed to be taken down. The existing house, it's a slab on grade 1950 vintage, and after looking at it, the contractor decided it was going to be almost as expensive to renovate that as basically build a new house. So in that process, we chose a new area of the site that is basically allows them to stay in that house during construction and then take that house down afterwards. And so we have 2 part requests here for the special permit that was outlined to me by building inspector Mike Crisafulli, that we're seeking, advised to seek a 2-part special permit. Part 1 for the in-law apartment pertaining to zoning bylaw 9114, and part 2 for approval to keep the existing house in place where the owners will continue to live during construction until the new buildings are completed and then ready to be occupied. And there's no permanent pertinent zoning law for that. So that's something that is sort of left for the special permit for you all to maybe develop a law. I don't know.
I guess the question I have
Yeah.
is, does that mean that the information in the agenda is technically not correct?
Well, I submitted this and I just read that over 2 days ago when I got sent to me. So I didn't, think it was at that point it all gone out. But essentially what we are doing is constructing, and it's written right here in what I submitted on the 12th, which is looking to construct a new 2-story barn, 2-bedroom in-law apartment, slab on grade for garage and crawl space for the in-law apartment. This building will be connected to a new breezeway to a new 2-story, 4-bedroom home with a full walkout basement. So there's 2 buildings that are adjoined. The barn that's on site is also coming down. I didn't mention that, but that's going to stay up during construction for access for the contractor. So essentially they're replacing the barn and they're replacing the home. They're going to connect them with a breezeway. We are going to connect them with a breezeway. And that's the proposal on a new site. So they can continue living on the premises during construction. So that was outlined in this, I don't know.
Yeah, so, well, we happen to have town council here
Okay.
on another matter. So I'm hoping I can avail her of her services to ask this question. I just want to be sure we're not walking into an accidental procedural issue here if the notice doesn't really describe the intent of the project, because there is a demolition of an existing house, a relocation of it. There will, for a period of time, be 2 houses on the same property. So I just want to be sure that this portion of the description it seems like it may be procedurally incorrect.
So, will one of those houses be under a demolition permit if there's 2 houses on the property at one time?
I would assume so.
Because if not,
Right.
that would create a zoning violation. But anyway.
Yeah.
So that would be, if it's up to the board to decide if the notice is faulty. And if the board is comfortable with the notice being faulty, the applicant then has to agree because it's on the applicant. So if the notice is faulty and anybody wants to challenge it, it's the applicant that has to defend that. It seems like it's a pretty significant deviation.
It does to me as well. And this is, I'm not making a comment on the reasonableness or not reasonableness of what you're proposing, right? I'm just procedurally noticing that description is to me, it's different enough from this. And
I didn't write that description.
No,
wrote
I
this
understand
and
that.
submitted it.
I know, I understand that. I understand that.
So Mr. Chairman, under the Duteau case, the board has the ability to switch the relief. So if somebody says that they're going to put up an addition and they're seeking a special permit for that, and that's what the public notice says. The Duteau case said that you could switch that to, say, a variance or a finding, provided the public knew what was happening, meaning an addition was being put up. So we don't even have that here. We have the opposite, where the work to be done is not properly described.
Yeah.
So it's not even really like a relief thing.
Yeah, that was my concern, reading this and then looking at the materials. So in a
I
case like-
don't know how that happened because I came in twice to meet with the folks from the building department and submitted this in a timely fashion, actually a week before it was due. So I'm not sure where the this was submitted. Just
No,
to clarify what I just read to you.
I understand, but I think we're in a procedural bind here where I think we would be, in my opinion, I think it would be risky for us to proceed, further.
I think we should potentially continue, and I think that there is a potential. Isn't the mass law doesn't allow the two homes on
Yeah,
one
but I
lot
think
and
that
then,
maybe, but in this case, because one of them, one of them is being used sort of for the applicant to live in while the other one is being constructed, I think that they wouldn't be two occupancy permits at the
Correct.
same time.
There'd be
So there's two structures there, but it's not as though there are two fully occupied houses at the same time. So I think, to me, I think there's a workaround for that.
The larger issue though is just the exposure, not through your mistake, obviously, what we're hearing, but mistakes do happen within various departments here and with our volunteer boards, and it's
Right.
frustrating.
Yeah,
And I empathize with that, but I don't think that you want to go forward having that exposure in perpetuity. If something is so off, as town council is pointing out, it might seem worthwhile to wait the 3 or 4 weeks to get it done right.
in other words, you put out a new advertisement and
Well, only, I guess, there's two, I don't know if we can simply continue the case, because I think procedurally this is not right. So, yeah, I think we have to start a new one,
So for
so
our next meeting.
it could be for the next meeting, because you have all the materials ready to go, so it is literally just the description being revised. So does that mean that the applicant has to withdraw the application?
The applicant should withdraw the application. However, the board could waive a new application fee.
Which we absolutely should. I don't know if we have to vote on that.
No.
Okay, we can
It's-
just state that.
I mean,
Okay.
they're gonna submit the exact same application.
Yeah, okay.
But they should withdraw this one, and they should seek to withdraw it, and then you should, accept that withdrawal.
And we have to vote on that.
Yes.
Okay.
well, when we spoke to the commissioner, he also said that there wasn't, as I just read, there's no pertinent zoning bylaw. But we want a grace period. Clearly, we're not gonna get occupancy one day and then have them move in a day. So there's gotta be a month or a period of time that's, so maybe that's something you all can consider in the meantime, if this doesn't exist yet. And I mean, from what Mike told me, he said this, he wasn't
I think Mike's
aware.
on the line. If we
Oh,
want to
Mike,
bring him
you're
into
there.
the conversation.
Mike's actually in person.
Oh, in person. There you go.
He's here.
Yeah, I mean, you can make
Oh, there you are, Mike.
a suggestion, as opposed to having both, houses on site, depending on size of site and whatnot. In other cities and towns that I've worked in, we've actually had the occupants, live on a trailer on site. That way they can demo the house, get it out of the way, and then have more space to move and to do construction, so to speak. Then you won't have any issue. They could propose that. That's another option. I've seen that many times. Even when you've had a fire and they were gonna say rebuild a house, they'd live in the trailer while they, say rebuild the house, say it could burn to the ground. Is that within your purview or within ZBA? It was in my purview in other towns, because they had a bylaw for it. We don't have one here. So, I mean, that would be probably a special permission by the board or myself. Now, you could give me the power to do that, I suppose.
Yeah, but let me ask a question. So just thinking procedurally here, if I imagine that the new house is being constructed, there have to be a series of final inspections. So you'd have to create a certificate of occupancy for the house.
Yep.
But it's possible that, in my mind, that the certificate of occupancy for the existing house could, I don't know if it can be rescinded, but it seems like it would be within your power to sort of grant the certificate of occupancy and on the same day rescind the certificate of occupancy of the existing house, assuming that it could be set up such that the inspections go through in a timely fashion. And, obviously there has to be a point in time where you're moving in, but I think you can move out of a house without a certificate of occupancy, maybe. I don't know.
You can. The only drawback is there'd be a period of time for them to get disconnect letters for the existing house. For your gas, for your water, power, and such. They'd have to be getting those ahead of time. Say before they occupy the other house. So that takes a while to get the disconnect letters. So you'd almost have to have the house ready. Yeah, and then have another 30 days to take care of that, and then take the house down. Yeah, so it's safe.
So you're not suggesting the trailer as an interim? I mean, you mentioned.
The trailer is probably one of your better options. There's a couple companies that do rent them very reasonably for, fires and for this type of situation. And they're actually pretty plush. It's like something you see at a resort, some of them.
Yeah.
True.
But if the notice for the butters does not explain the situation, would that be a continuation?
I think that's separate to this situation. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I would agree. I think that's a separate situation. I think we just have to explain in the notice to the abutters with a little more specificity. And it's captured in the narrative here. So I think it's really just a simple matter of that. All right. Well, I think that's a lot for the board to consider, but I'm optimistic that we can come up with some solutions for what you have here. But I guess what I would suggest is that the applicant withdraw the application and then just resubmit it, and that obviously the board will waive the refiling fee, and we just go forward with a fresh application for this. Is that?
Should change the date and resubmit everything.
Yes.
But you want a letter from me or from the client or the owners?
I don't think we need something like that.
We're just agreeing here that we're going to
Well,
do
the
that.
board has to vote that we'll accept your withdrawal and resubmit.
With non-prejudice, right?
I have one quick question. So in terms of the description, when would we receive that again for the next filing so we can review and make sure it accurately captures the application?
I don't know. How long does it?
I mean, I got it last week and I figured at that point it had already gone out to mail, so I didn't.
Yeah, I don't know. Do we need to see a draft? Do we need to see a draft of it before it goes out to compare? I mean, we don't usually have to do that.
In this situation,
I don't want to put you through this situation again. So, I don't know what the date of the next hearing is. I don't know what the cutoff is.
Yeah, the legal ad will be sent out next Tuesday, be posted by. Check the date exactly. The first posting would be August 24th, and the notice of meeting will be sent out then as well with that description of it.
But you want to circulate it in advance, you can maybe email it to us and we could circulate it to them.
Sure.
Just to cover our bases in this one situation.
Okay. You do that.
So August 24th would be the date that we meet? Yeah, okay.
No.
That's when it gets
Yeah.
published.
I don't know.
We
when
usually
the
meet
next-
once a month.
The meeting.
It is once a month, that's what I thought, yeah, okay.
September 12th,
September 12th.
posting legal ad.
For belt and suspenders, we'll check to know that well in advance of that, we can share it with you.
Yeah.
Obviously, once we see it.
Yeah, okay. All right. So is there any, what do we need to do?
Orally move to it right here?
You can send an email.
Yes.
Or
Just send you an email?
Yes, we have to vote on it. So yeah, so you have to.
Withdraw the application.
You have to withdraw the application, so.
We'd like to withdraw the application because of the clerical error that kept the real
Yes, thanks.
narrative from getting shared.
All right, so I guess everyone can, I guess, vote on this one. So we'll start online.
Do we have to get that seconded and make an official motion?
Yeah, I guess.
Motion to
Yes.
accept the withdrawal.
Yeah,
So we have to make a motion.
I move that we accept the withdrawal from the applicant.
Seconded.
All right, thank you. Okay, so now we can proceed. Mr. Hirsch,
Aye.
Mr. Grumbaugh,
Aye.
Mr. Sarian,
Yes.
Mr. Levine. Aye. Mr. White, aye. So that's unanimous. So, thank you. I apologize if this is the situation we're in, but I think ultimately it's going to be the best course of action to preserve all of your rights as the applicants here.
We have some other added elements of working with conservation, so that'll give us time probably to kind of pull that together too. So, but that's really separate from this
Are you
special
meeting
permit.
with the Conservation Commission or
They
just?
were just at the site yesterday and also the Board of Health, so we're working with them both.
Okay.
Yeah, good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for your
Thank
patience.
you. Yes. Okay, so we are moving on to the next case. This is the 715 application. This is the application of Mill Creek Residential Trust of the applicant on behalf of 297 BPR Whole Foods owner for a comprehensive permit of 172 rental units, 25%, 43 units of which shall be deed restricted as affordable. This property is located at 297 Boston Post Road, which is in the Business District B. This is case 23-14. So who do we have for the applicants here?
You have Debbie Horowitz. I'm with Wilson and Brewers Counsel for the applicant and the Wayland resident. And I have Doug Arsham and Anand Boshe from Mill Creek with me. And a couple of our team members.
Okay. So I guess to get started, we should hear a quick overview from the applicant.
Yeah.
No,
Not taking testimony.
you're not. Okay.
So the first thing we'd like to do, Mr. Acting Chairman, is ask for a continuance, which we had done by email, but they requested, somebody at the building department requested that we come
Okay.
in person. So we've been, as some of you may know, working with the town for well over a year, working with the select board, meeting with the land use committee a couple of times all together and separately in some cases, having a public meeting. And when we filed this application, we were told that we would be responsible for sending out notices, putting notice in the newspaper and sending out notices. And then at some point, which we got the abutters list for, and then at some point, we just got noticed of this hearing. It was the first time, frankly, ever in my career that we haven't at least been consulted with a board about setting a date. Not that they always work in our favor, but we have at least 3 of our lead team consultants who aren't here because they're on vacation, and we haven't had time, although we're prepared to do a presentation. We'd like more time to put our best foot forward.
Okay. I guess before we proceed further, we do also have town council here. Again, it's a substantial application, so we obviously need to be prepared. So I guess I can ask
Sure.
town council if she
So,
could give us some guidance.
Sure. So the application that was filed is not complete. This board needs to make a determination as to whether it's complete enough to go forward or not. The application, as you can see, the building department, the building commissioner did inform the applicant in writing that it's missing a project eligibility letter. I've gone through the application. It's also missing any kind of evidence of fundability. The only mention of fundability is a undated letter from Eastern Bank saying that Eastern Bank looks forward to confirming Eastern Bank will be interested in providing both construction and permanent finance. So because of that, the application based on the regulations is not complete. So it's not complete. It's not complete under 760-56041, which requires that a project eligibility letter is what shall be the determination as to fundability, site control, and the dividend, the type of applicant it is. 56052G also requires a project eligibility letter. And section CP 3.1.7 subsection 2 of the Wayland Zoning Board of Appeals supplemental rules for comprehensive permits pursuant to MGL chapter 40B sections 20 to 23. So all of those sections require a project eligibility letter. There is no project eligibility letter. The applicant was made aware of that. The applicant demanded to have to file the application and have the hearing opened. I did tell the applicant that if they wanted to do that, they would have to, pay for abutter notices, et cetera. The 30 days, you have 30 days to open the hearing, and the 30 days ends on Friday. So this is really not unexpected that you would hold a hearing before the 30 days. And so what I recommend is, pursuant to the case law and the research that I've done, I recommend that there be no testimony taken and that the board procedurally deny the application without prejudice. That way, the applicant can then come back when they have their PEL, they can come back, and that's when the board can look at the merits of the project.
The two substantive items that are missing, if I'm hearing you right, is the project eligibility letter and evidence of fundability.
Correct.
Which both need to be in the original application.
Correct, and evidence of fundability is part of the project eligibility letter. But there is none of that. There's no independent evidence of fundability. And so my position is still that a project eligibility letter is required, but this is above and beyond. We still don't even have any kind of evidence of fundability. So therefore, it is an incomplete application that cannot be entertained. Again, I do want to state that the building department did try and tell them this, that, you know, don't go forward with the abutter, you know, notices, et cetera, because your application is not complete, and they insisted on doing that. So that's why we're here.
So, Mr. Chair, can I respond to some of the things that Attorney Questle?
Yes, as long as we keep it to brief commentary.
It's brief commentary. I think what is missing from the commentary is a couple of cases that determine that those regulations that say there are 3 jurisdictional requirements. We don't have any disagreement on what those are. Site control, evidence of fundability, and the fact that we're going to be a limited dividend entity, that the owner will be. We do have a disagreement that the letter from Eastern Bank is not evidence of fundability. We also think that although it is typical for a project eligibility letter to be the thing that conclusively determines that we meet the jurisdictional requirements, they are not required. I quoted for Attorney Questle a land court case that specifically says, although PEL is the typical way of showing that, it doesn't have to be. And that case, although it is land court and not reported, relies on a previously reported case, the Marion case, which made the same determination. So we think we filed a complete application. We did, again, no disagreement what the building department told us when we filed. We just disagree with the legal conclusion that we have an incomplete application.
Okay.
Hi, this is Jim Grumbach. I have a question. Given that the two learned attorneys have very different views on this, I'm worrying or wondering about the 30-day period that's ending on Friday. Carolyn, Amy, could you expound on the 30-day period that's ending, just so I understand it?
So the 30-day period is of no consequence because you opened the hearing within 30 days.
I see. Okay.
So my recommendation is, again, to procedurally deny this application without prejudice.
And I assume you've read the cases that counsel from Goulston and Storrs has cited.
Yes, it's quite interesting. She did not cite to the land court case. So I can't even find it. It was not cited to. She just indicated a person's name. And again, it's a land court case.
Okay.
There are reported cases out there that state that there has to be those three determinations have to be made, and they cannot make that. An Eastern Bank letter that is undated is supposed to be evidence of fundability. It's just not. It doesn't pass.
And I assume the reported cases you're talking about, at least one or more are appellate cases?
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, well, I'm satisfied that town council has done her job, and I personally would follow her recommendations. And for the record, I'm only an associate board member in my last meeting, but for whatever it's worth, I was brought back onto the board 5 years ago after being here for 10 years because we were dealing with a group of 40B cases. So I have had a few 40B cases under my belt, and of all of them, I've never seen this issue before. So
We are grateful that you are here this evening, Jim, so.
well, you know what? I'm going to be thinking about you. Anyway, I just wanted to let you know that this wasn't off the cuff. I have had a little experience with it.
Thank you. Amy, have you encountered this situation before?
I did. Both Carolyn and I had a case where we had the same exact position. We took the same position, and that case ended up settling before there was any determination.
I don't opinion.
No. It has happened before to me.
All right. Well, I'm satisfied that we have received information. We've opened the hearing and we've received information that I think is determines the course of outcome for us.
And we would be potentially, if we make a motion and agree to, it would be without prejudice, so it can be refiled.
Correct.
Correct.
That's what I understand, yes.
Do we have anybody for public comment on this subject at all?
Yeah, I haven't even thought about going there yet. I just wanted to sort of make sure I understood exactly where we were, but I guess it's an appropriate point. Ms.
So
Gersh.
the public comment can only be on the procedural matter.
Right.
Because
Oh, okay.
as soon as you start to take testimony,
Mhm, understand.
you are opening up this hearing to, that you are accepting the application. It could be argued. So.
Okay, so we should not, it sounds like we should not, unless it's specific to the pieces that we were just discussing and not about the
Right.
overall.
The project eligibility and the fundability and the site control.
Okay.
As shown by the evidence provided, that one undated letter from Eastern Bank.
Mhm.
Mr. Chairman, may I make one more point about that?
Hold on just for 1 second.
So there is no public comment on those three issues.
Well, we haven't asked, but
There's nobody on there.
We should probably,
Anybody online, right?
Your other 19 pennies online.
19. Sorry.
So the one other point is that the regulations specifically say, even in the list of requirements for an application, that failure to have any of them will not typically result in an incomplete application. And frankly, the fact that there's not a date on that letter from Eastern Bank saying that they would be interested in financing the project doesn't rise to the level of something that I think would be supported legally as a reason to kick the project. I think that's a tenuous legal position, if that's the position you're taking.
Well, I'm gonna give you a little benefit of my 45 years as a lawyer. I sit as a hearing officer. I sit as an arbitrator. I've seen many a case in which letters that are undated and unsigned are excluded from evidence because they're not sufficient. So I am suspicious, and despite what counsel says, that's not satisfactory to me.
So, Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Sure.
So I think that council is referring to 5605, but if 5604 specifically states to be eligible to submit an application to a board for a comprehensive permit or to file or maintain an appeal before the committee, the applicant and the project shall fulfill at a minimum the following project eligibility requirements. And it's the three that we've discussed. And then it says compliance with these project eligibility requirements shall be established by the issuance of written determination of project eligibility by the subsidizing agency that contains all of the findings required under 760 CMR 56044, based upon its initial review of the project and the applicant's qualifications in accordance with 760 CMR 5604. Nowhere does it state that you don't need those.
I would agree with you. I think that's pretty clear.
And I'll end the back and forth. I'm sorry. I'm almost done.
Oh, okay, okay. All right, so I guess, is there anybody here in the audience that has any public comment only on the procedural issues we're discussing right now? Okay. So there is none. So online, you said that there are several.
Yep.
Again, I just want to stress, this is only on the procedural points that we've been discussing so far.
There are no hands.
I see none.
There are no hands raised.
No.
Okay, all right. All right, I guess with that, I think the board needs to, make a determination here. Amy, I have one additional question.
Sure.
For our newest board member, since he didn't receive all the materials yet, even though he's an official member, should he be included in this discussion?
Well, he has heard the explanation regarding the procedural defect.
Okay.
So, I mean, again, you are denying this without prejudice, so you could have the entire,
Okay.
all of your members vote.
All right.
Right.
Thank you. I guess with that, does someone on the board want to make a motion?
I'd be happy to.
Thank you, Mr. Grumback.
You're welcome. I move that we determine that the application is incomplete and therefore we will not proceed with this application until the applicant provides us with an application that is complete.
So,
Amy, is that sufficient or not?
Hang on for 1 second.
so it has to be denied, it has to be procedurally denied without prejudice.
Okay. Let me try again. I move that we procedurally deny this application without prejudice on the grounds that it is incomplete with respect to the three elements of project eligibility letter, fundability, and site control.
Seconded.
Okay, so we'll do this by roll call and we'll start online. Mr. Hirsch,
Aye.
Mr. Grumback,
Aye.
Mr. Perry,
Aye.
Mr. Sarian,
Aye.
Mr. Levine,
Aye.
and Mr. White, aye. So that is a unanimous decision. From here, what is the next step?
I will finalize the draft decision and get it over to you for your signature and to file at the town clerk.
And that is, that's the same day period and the same appeals period, or is this?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, it is. And it will state that on the decision.
Okay.
And Amy, just note that Tom is heading out of the country, so he'd appreciate getting it as quickly as possible.
Yes, I can have it to him tonight or tomorrow morning.
Perfect.
Fast. Thank you.
Amy, it's been a pleasure working with you.
Yes, you too, Jim. I'll probably see you again, though. They'll bring you
Oh,
back.
I'm sure I will, Amy.
Okay,
Thank you to the applicant.
thank you.
No.
That's what I have to look at.
Okay,
I'm gonna get it.
so
I don't understand.
we can now move on to the next case, which is the 720 hearing, which is continued.
That's right. And we won't the percentage either.
And this is the application of Ilson Machado on behalf of Ramiro Milan to construct an addition on a pre-existing non-conforming lot in a non-conforming location. The property is located at 9 Simpson Road, which is in the R20 zoning district. And this is case 2310. I don't see anybody here.
He is online.
He is.
Will be upgraded. Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Okay, do we have the applicant?
There's his audio, his camera.
There you go. Alrighty, that's better. Good evening,
Okay,
everyone.
that's better. Good evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Well, first of all, first and foremost, we want to thank you the opportunity again to get in front of you guys. And we're in a similar situation that we were in our last meeting, really.
Exactly.
We're here to request that we review this case again in our next meeting because we're not 100% prepared yet to present you guys with the final plans that the Milan family is discussing and looking to do. Since our first meeting there, obviously we're hoping to, at the time, we wanted to encroach into the zoning line there. Obviously, that got we got some great recommendations from the panel that time, and that spiked a whole different other ideas. And now we're still compiling them all together. And there's a plan, and we're going through all the other details of the plan. Costs and everything else, engineering and everything else that's involved, and therefore it has really delayed us a little bit in order to put all that information together. And we're just hoping here tonight, obviously, we're hoping to just request that we could probably push this over again one more month or to your next meeting, which will give us ample time for us to finalize the details to be able to present you guys to continue with this plan, to be able to present you with the plan that it's concise and easy to understand and hopefully get approval.
Okay, perfect. So, do we need it? How do we deal with a continuance form if it's remote? Because usually the applicant's here and they can sign it. In this case,
Come in. They
Okay.
can come in subsequent, either this week or we can
Okay.
address the next meeting.
Just want to make sure that, sir, that the next meeting, which I think I heard, Manny here say is September 12th, if you're sure that that's enough time, or if you prefer a little more wiggle room to schedule for the subsequent meeting beyond that.
No, it should be enough time. The Milan family is actually traveling. That's why they're not in the call. But we do have a plan that we're going to be meeting with them later this week when they do get back. So it should be ample time for us to wrap this up and be able to present you with the plan, with the reasonable time for review and all that. There should be enough time.
okay. All right,
Thank you.
so it appears as though in order just to make sure this is procedurally correct, at some point you'll have to come to the building department and probably just sign the continuation form.
Okay, I mean, we can do that anytime.
Okay. Do we need to vote on continuance? We
Yes.
do. I think we do. Okay. So can I get a motion to continue this?
Go for it, Adam.
I can give it a shot. So I'll accept the make a motion to push 23-10 of 9 Simpson Road to next month, pending time of what's the next available?
We'll say 7:20.
7:20. And
Okay,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Levine. All right, so we'll go by roll call. Mr. Hirsch,
Aye.
Mr. Grumback,
Aye.
Mr. Perry. Aye. Mr. Sarian. Aye. Mr. Levine.
Right.
And Mr. White, aye, so that's unanimous, so you're all set. Manny can draft up that form and then can email you at some point. I think as long as you sign it before the next hearing, I think then we're procedurally correct, so. thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. So as soon as I get that email, I'll stop in.
I'm sorry, what's the date of the hearing? Do you have?
The 12th of September.
Well, okay, thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Good night.
Take care.
Thank you.
Stay safe.
See you.
Okay, so at 8:09, we can finally move on to our next, the next case. This is the 725 hearing. This is the continued application of Joshua Fox, who is the attorney agent on behalf of Herb Chambers, the owner, to create service bays for customer drop-off and additional storage. The property is located at 533 Boston Post Road, which is in a limited commercial zoning district. This is case 23-01. Which is continued from February 14th, 2023, March 21st, 2023, April 11th, 2023, May 30th, 2023, June 13th, 2023, and July 11th, 2023.
Those are persistent.
So absolutely. So before we get started, because I didn't find out until today that I was going to be chair this evening, I haven't been keeping a list of the attendees. Thank you, because that was the thing I was most concerned about, without the current chair here, just making sure that we don't have anyone that has missed any of the hearings.
So, thank you, Mr. Chairman, Josh Fox from Rollins and Fox. We've been keeping tallies. It's been an ebb and flow. Joshua and Aida had been here for, I think, all of them. But the members here this evening, I think we have perfect attendance from Doug. Tom missed one in June, and I don't know if he was Mollenized.
I have not Mollenized,
So that's an issue. Adam missed one in May, and I'm not sure if he was Mollenized. I think it was May. It was either May or June.
I thought I didn't have to Mollenize for that because there wasn't an overall discussion at that point. That's what we discussed last time.
If we continued in May, then that is correct. But you were here in June then? Okay.
I was here in June.
Okay, fine. And then Sean had missed February.
I got Mollenized.
Yeah, Mollenized. So it sounds like then we're still missing one Mollenization.
It sounds like, because the one that I missed, I think was not just a continuance, if I believe. I think it was actually something that you may have presented an alternate. Right, and I think that was the so the June.
So can I eat a Mollenized for tonight? I think this is her first one.
I believe she
Yes,
can.
I believe she
Oh,
can.
sorry.
And so could Josh.
Yeah.
And by the way, I am recused on this one.
That's right.
Yes, I remember that.
Okay,
So if Aida Mollenizes for this evening
For Josh.
for Josh, that should be fine.
And Mike.
Because I can't Mollenize for, well, I could also Mollenize for the past one.
Right, so if you Mollenize for that one,
Mhm.
just in case we're short for the
Yep.
next meeting, hopefully we'll be able to make the
And
quorum.
just remind me, that was the 13th,
Yours was June, I think it was June 13th.
June 13th, okay.
Tom, I'm just gonna throw this out here because I don't want to cause any more potential problems for the applicant at all, but I may not be able to attend the 12th because I will be at a conference. So do we have enough people to be able, do we have a quorum potentially without me if I can't attend next month on the 12th?
Well, I guess we have to find out if
Yeah,
we may not have to continue. Well, no, I think we
We
would
do.
have to, we would have to continue this. We would have to continue this one more time, just to give me the chance to Mollenize and Aida and Josh to Mollenize, right?
Right,
Okay,
I mean, you'll have 4.
so then that's okay. So then that would mean that we would not have to, the only thing, if we had to vote on something tonight, it would be to continue it to the next one, just to be sure that you had all the proper coverage. And
correct.
I want to be respectful of your time because I recognize this has gone on for a long amount of time. So I.
That's why I wanted to be
and incredibly
gracious to the
patient
applicant.
and, Yes, very well prepared the whole time.
Thank
so-
you. And I don't want to get into the substance, but we are prepared to close at this point. Not this evening,
Yeah,
when we take testimony, just. so you know.
okay. So then, does it make sense to? Well, I think then we should hear what you have to say. No, you're saying no, okay.
I don't think so. Because you don't have a quorum this evening.
You don't have a quorum.
Okay,
You don't have, you can vote, we can vote to continue. You
vote
don't
to
have a
continue.
quorum to take testimony
got it.
because you're not Mollenized. If you were Mollenized, then we'd have four and we'd take up,
This is why I'm an architect, not a lawyer.
yeah, no, we
So
don't.
there you go.
We request not to open the hearing. We
Okay.
respectfully request to continue it to the next available hearing.
Alright. That's an easy vote for someone to make a motion on.
I
So I
got, I
moved
gotta
it.
have to do it again.
I got it.
I think Doug's beat you to it.
Yeah.
All right.
I move that we continue the hearing, the application of Joshua Fox on behalf of Herb Chambers, which is case 2301. At the request of the applicant to the next meeting date, which is September 12th, 2023, at 7:25, at 7:25.
Seconded.
Okay, so again, by roll call, Mr. Hirsch,
Aye.
Mr. Jermack does not count. Mr. Perry. Aye. Mr. Sarian.
Aye.
Mr. Levine.
Aye.
Mr. White, aye. So unanimous. So we will do that. And again, I apologize.
So
I
I should
said,
write to them to ensure that they Mullinize before the next meeting, so it can be.
yes, so that's.
Do they
I
need to
don't-
Mullinize?
myself.
Do they have Mollenized?
Hold on, Doug, Doug or Tom,
Actually,
do they
they-
need
no.
to Mullinize? Cause we
They
just,
don't need to Mullinize for this evening. I just need to Mullinize for the 13th,
But Josh and Aida missed they each missed the substantive meeting.
No, I don't believe they have. Nanny will compare notes and make sure. I think both of them have attended every meeting to date.
Oh,
So
okay.
it would just be.
Just be
Just-
me.
Yeah,
Again,
Is that what you have?
I would have,
Is that what you
I
have?
would have if I had known. I was gonna be doing it, it's that crucial. I would have, because again, you've been very patient, so.
We try.
and I apologize, Mr. Fox, if I can't attend.
Did you
And
guys
Mr.
wrap
Fox,
up
I
on
do
conservation?
apologize.
We're done.
Yeah.
So this is the last stop.
Now you're trailing.
Okay.
Great.
It's a bummer.
That is a bummer. I always like to blame the other boards. Landing back here.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
All right, well, thank you
Okay.
very much.
Appreciate it. You need me to sign in?
Take care.
All right, so we just
Good
have one
move.
more motion to make this evening.
Move
I
to
moved
end the
it.
meeting.
So I don't know who did that, who technically did that first.
I use the word adjourn, so go with me.
All
Go
right.
with adjourn. I like Doug's. Seconded.
All right, thank you very much. All right, so by roll call, Jim, you can vote on this one.
I will say aye, and once again, it's been a pleasure working with all of you.
Thank you for your service,
Yes,
sir.
thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jim.
This was in your DNA to be with us. What are you talking about?
No, you can do, there's much better DNA around.
Okay, moving on, Mr. Hirsch,
Aye.
Mr. Perry. Aye. Mr. Sarian.
Aye.
Mr. Levine.
Aye.
Mr. White, aye. There it is. So the meeting is closed. Thank you. Thank